moment on this conference that I went for in Nairobi, when the South African Minister of Transport stood up in the gathering where there are political parties from all over the world, and he said to me, he said, I want to applaud Liberia because your election was so tight, hotly contested, and President Bouazizi only defeated President Weah less than 30,000 votes. And yet, President Weah conceded. He said, you people should continue that democracy. I was proud. I'm going to say anyway, therefore, President, we have to concede and keep our democracy on the path it is. It's something, of course, I'm proud of, and I'm happy he did that. I will praise him any day for that, because not many Africans can do that. Look, let's stop all these political noise. When people do something good, praise them. He could have stayed in power like other people. Yes, he could have done that. When President Bouazizi
great platforms. It's important that we share this kind of intellectual discourse to awaken our public, our people, about the diabolical attempts and the diabolical actions of the Unity Party government. The Unity Party government, the misrules, the Janjaweed style of leaderships have led our country to what it is today. We are frustrated and disappointed. But again, my name is Eddie Krawale. As everyone may know, I'm the National Vice Chairman for Political Affairs of the Youth League, and I'm excited and ecstatic to be one of our co-hosts on these very, very big platforms. This is a platform that is very informative, that is very educative, and is worth listening to. Because men who has the poise and the intellectual capacity are then opportune to converge on this one umbrella to dispel the rumors and misinformations, to unleash the undiluted facts to the Liberian people, that the manner and functions in which Mr. Bouazizi and his gang of criminals, his gang of thieves, are proceeding with the country must be erected. I was astonished and disappointed when I saw the video yesterday with a mental ill man was gunned down, face gunned down, with more than 8 bullets to eliminate his life by the instructions of Mr. Gregory Coleman and Mr. Bouazizi. It reminded me about the days of Mr. Tito. It reminded me about the days of the 1980. It reminded me about the days of the 1989. It reminded me about the days of the 2003 war, where we experienced the gross assassinations and executions of Liberians, instigated and organized by Mr. Gregory Coleman, Mr. Bouazizi, and the rest of the other rebel leaders that is in the Unity Party government. Labrona have retrogressed. I'm a professional criminal justice practitioner. By professions, I'm a criminal justice actor. I'm a paralegal. I read criminal justice up to the highest level, the highest standard. I got a bachelor's in criminal justice. I worked within the criminal justice cycle for more than 7 years. I also obtained a master's in criminal justice. I'm not doing another master's in criminal justice policy reform proceedings at Penn State University. So I know how law enforcement operate. I know how we're supposed to operate in terms of the executions of order and the dispense of law enforcement responsibility. First and foremost, the police have cardinal responsibility is to protect life and property. This fundamental responsibility of the police should not be abrogated by whatever mandate and form. It should not be abrogated. In an instant case, if a person is mentally ill, if you read on criminology, it will tell you that a man who lacks the mens in corporea sane, the mental capacity to comprehend right or wrong, cannot be held liable for his action, simply because he lacks the comprehension, he lacks the capacity to know the difference between good, bad, right, or wrong. He lacks that capacity. So the doctrines of criminology says that in that situation, he or she cannot be held liable. So what criminology does, criminology brought in psychologists. One of the major psychologists in criminal justice analysis reform is called Emmett Duncan. He's a sociologist and a psychologist as well. He say an increase in propensity gave rise to social ill. A criminal behavior is a necessary social behavior. These actions are necessary in society for us to identify the ambiguity of how society are run. But now to the situations. Under the situations, the man is mentally ill. Mental ill person must not be held liable. What do you do in a situation as a criminal justice practitioner and a law enforcement actor? There are steps in which you proceed in dealing with that kind of situation. One, you must use the methodology of persuasions. If that person is mentally insane and his actions is counterclocks to law enforcement processes or is detrimental to society, you use a persuasion proceeding. You try to persuade him. If you cannot persuade him as a law enforcement person, because in more instant case, police officer may appear more dangerous in the face or the minds and ideas of a mental ill personnel, a mental ill person. So if you cannot use that medium as a police officer to persuade him, you bring in psychologists. You bring in psychologists. You bring in religious people. You bring in a reputable and dignifiable people in the community to talk to him so that he could be able to listen to these. I mean, every mental ill person has some way of soft spot. So he will be able to listen in that process. You did not do that as a law enforcement practitioner. You went in to ensure that you use force that was not proportionate. In criminal justice, there are varieties of force as a law enforcement practitioners to execute. In order to implement a law enforcement instruction or law enforcement operation, you must understand the kinds of force to use. The force must be proportional. If a man has a rock and you have a gun, that force is not proportional. It's not proportional at all. It's excessive. If a man have a knife and you have a gun, that force is not also proportional. It's also excessive. It's excessive. So you cannot be using gun when a man get knife. In more instant case, a situation where the man is mentally insane, that person is incapacitated, mentally incapacitated. You have too many law enforcement strategies to ensure that you can de-escalate and eliminate the threat. One of the strategies you use as a professional law enforcement and practitioner is to have pepper spray. You have the pepper spray. If you think that a man is dangerous and violent, you use the pepper spray to eliminate the threat. That's one. If you think that the pepper spray is not strong enough, sufficient enough to eliminate the threat, you use water candles. You use the water candle. If you know very well that the water candle is not strong enough to eliminate the threat, you also use electrical taser. Electric taser. You tasing. There are some taser is very powerful enough that you can eliminate the threat immediately. And that's why in America, more professional law enforcement practitioners use taser. Guns is the last resort. To use gun on a peaceful citizen and a surveillant and a mental ill person is the last resort in law enforcement. Is the last resort in law enforcement. You cannot use gun as a means of a final result. And if you're using gun, the law says that your action must be proportional to that of the actions of the suspect in questions. To that of the actions of the suspect in questions. The mental ill guy is not a suspect. He's mentally insane. He needed a psychological persuasions to put in perspective. But Mr. Gregory Cuomo, has been unprofessional, brutal, and irresponsible he eliminated the man. He gave a clear directions to get the man executed. The police must get account. Mr. Bwaka must get account of their actions. Mr. Bwaka and Gregory Cuomo must get account of their actions. The worst thing to this situation, Mr. Gregory Cuomo, he played an absolute mockery of the Liberian people and the family of the deceased. He went to do what we call a candle-led program for people who are alive. How will you do that? law enforcement practitioners who are alive, and you went to do a candle light visions. That is wrong. That is a mockery. That is extravagance of justice. That is illegal. And the Liberian people need to know exactly how the Unity Party government is proceeding with this country. Liberia need to know.
Thank you so much,
just in there with when you have a certain president, my people, encouraging corruption, then what will government officials do? What will the citizens do? Because this man stood there and said that if you can see the money and invest in Liberia. So just to tell you that go and see taxpayers' money. After seeing, you keep a portion at your house, and the rest of the money you share it among the citizens. I mean, the masses of our country, the downtrodden masses of our country. So, as an elected official, as an elected president before his inauguration, Bwaka started accepting bribe. He started accepting gifts from businesses. This is an act of corruption. No scientist will come from heaven, or no angel will come from heaven and tell us that, Bwaka would just be sitting down. A Bwaka of yesterday would just sit down, someone would just bring money and give it to him. No, because this man told us that he was living alone. So the fact that Bwaka started accepting gifts is an act of corruption. One other one is corruption has become the hallmark of this regime. It is rampant. It is visible in all sectors. Corruption is just like sorry for the expression, just like a prostitution in our country. Every sector in this country has been affected by corruption, and Bwaka is doing nothing about it. Corruption is also exploiting commercial drivers to register their vehicles, their keke, their motorbikes, and at the end of the day, you restrict them from running on major streets without providing them no job opportunity. That is also corruption. You cannot tell me that I should go and register my bike over $100, $100, and at the end of the day, you restrict me from going out to fend for my living. That is also corruption. And corruption is also when you have Amos Swear, the Secretary General of the United Party, taking loan from Finance Ministry without legislative approval. We saw that happening in this country. And Bwaka, he knows about it. The president knows about it. He's aware of it. And it cannot even account, the Finance Ministry, the Prayer Bank economy cannot also account for this over 73 million that have been just in thin air. So people no way in Liberia, people will just be sitting down in this country. Money that they allocated for a specific purpose will just disappear in thin air. You want to tell me that the president don't know about them? No, he's aware of them. He know exactly what is going on. Corruption is also when you have the CSA boss, Josiah Joker, that comical individual sitting down at the CSA, and telling us Liberians that he has cleaned the payroll but cannot account for 43 million. So the effect of corruption is not only, it's not only affecting our nation's economy, it is affecting us as Liberians. When you have the current rate that, last month, the rate was down. But we did not see any changes in the market. Everything that they say, the rate now come down, so they think team prices changing. No, nothing changed. That is also an act of corruption. So we are the ones suffering. The masses are the ones in this, because Bwaka does not care. When you have his son and his children, Danny, and Danny will be in
whatever threat that will be there. Unfortunately, they didn't know that they were calling executioners. Honorable Dobayo, in this case, with all of the police brutality that you have been seeing, what is the signal that this thing is sending to the population?
So the signal is very clear and glaring. You know, when my dear brother Eddie is on, I don't like to talk criminal justice matters. You know, he has absolute advantage. You know, in economy, they get something called comparative advantage and absolute advantage. And I don't pretend that I have, you know, certain knowledge that I do not have. But from a preliminary standpoint, as a nationalist, as a thinker, as a reader, as a man with idea, right? I have done research. You know, I was in the law school very briefly. So I understand preliminary, you know, legal issues, and I got common reasoning. So I sent you first a video. I wanted you to play that video. This girl called her name is Peter Bronsky. She is the daughter of the Councillor Charles Walker Bronsky, brother, and she is a baby mother to Moba. The reason I know Peter well, she and me were in Grand Judea together. We were in St. Philomena, and then we came to Morovia at some point in time. We were in FNRE before I could go Cathedral. This brother in question, his name is Bebe. I know him very, very well. During the war, the same car that took me from Grand Judea during the war was the same car that took him from there.
I just want to say something.
So when you're ready, we'll play it if you...
Yeah, no, you can play it. So I just want to tell you that I know this family. I know them very well. I know this gentleman.
Your officers going to arrest.
Okay, so I'll play this.
Yeah.
I just want to say something to the RG. Your officers going to arrest or help a mental ill person. And the patient is saying, I don't want to go to hospital. I want to go to church. Me as a professional nurse, patient has right. He was not a threat to nobody to where he stays. I'm even surprised and ashamed of the police RG to say that Matthew was a suspect. He didn't steal from nobody. He didn't kill. He was not selling drugs. He was only a sick man, needed God, and not mental health and a police officer to shoot him 8 times in his stomach. But Mr. RG, we got more evidence to show. So you got to keep going and be explaining how it all happened. Because when you went on the scene, you was told that this man was mentally ill. But instead, you refer to him as suspect. That was somebody's father. That was somebody's son. You go to a mental ill person, you got to be calm. You got to be polite. You got to do everything in your power to convince that person to go with you. You can't force the patient. The way he was living, he been sick almost 3 weeks. He was not causing problem. He was not entering people's rooms. He was not stepping on people's toes. Yet and still with all his distress, he went to church. Did the police even ask those questions? Wow. Shoot somebody down and saying the police officer that had a cut behind his arm here saying that the way I shooting, if he even survived, then his man prayer strong. But you should pray that your man on a prayer be strong, Mr. Officer. Because you will no longer be a police officer. Having a weapon, it shouldn't be misused. You couldn't pepper spray the patient. You couldn't tear gas the patient. Or really assume that he was violent. You couldn't fire his foot. The rule of engagement said you must fire him in the chest, in his arm, and every part of his body 8 times. That was very unprofessional. And I promise God,
okay,
it will not go.
So this is a girl who is not a law enforcement person. She's a nurse with common sense. And almost everything Eddie said in the circumference of criminal justice was what she was repeating, quoting the rules of engagement, the law of proportionality, you know, the law of insanity, right? Under the law, even if I go in my room and I meet a man under my wife, and then I just grab a knife and juke that man, I will go scot-free because the intent of going in that room is to kill. But But when I saw a man under my web, I can plead temporary insanity. Even though I'm son, but at that moment, I was not thinking right. So let's look at the condition, because you asked me what is the police thinking and what's the public thinking. What the police thinking or what the girl just said. It is a preconceived man intent to kill to prove that they are men.
Talking funny. Stanton Waterspoon that Joseph Boakai junk. Joseph Boakai using to use a platform to come to power. Then Joseph Boakai dropping the ocean in on the show they making not jumping around. We confused. You know what's going on. You think that joke we joking here? We told you about Joseph Boakai from the beginning. You say you will not listen to us. The other one too that you be passing around with big money say you get policy, you know they want, you know that one, you know they want. John Molu. Oh, oh, my man, that other news today, man. Joseph Boakai junk in other news is John Molu. They made fool out of that one. They made fun out of him. Yes, they made fun out of him. Another Joseph Boakai John like John Lobo. You only Joseph Boakai John. Can you imagine they gave Noah Saul Gibson, who a blind man job? You can see them get your job. You passing around taking pictures all day, putting it off for people, the other person's birthday, my senior brother, my senior sister, and let me congratulate my senior brother, the MD, the other. You not seeing? You ready yet? You better put your left together, my picking. You not ready yet. You alive, no man like you, Joseph Boakai use all of your like junks in the time, and you passing around, whole day talking funny thing. You see what? Another Joseph Boakai John. But I want about Joseph Boakai, he go straight in the grave, Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson, our Joseph Boakai. Oh, Joe Boba. Joe Boba, a big ball. I told you today we'll call the listing of all the Joseph Boakai Johns. The list too long. It is a countless list. A countless list. Joseph Boakai position, all of them. The only person that refused to be Joseph Boakai John, like Yege Koluba, when Yege.
Well, fellow Liberians, home and abroad, it's a privilege again for us to be on here. We are so grateful that today we have another opportunity. Whenever the opportunity is afforded by the Almighty Allah, by the Almighty God, for us to come and inform our people, to give our people hope in this, one would say, very, very terrible times, especially in Liberia. We are grateful that we have such an opportunity to inform our people and keep hope alive. We want to say welcome to each and every one of you and welcome to the Redemption Hour. Today, we are grateful to be here with one of our founder, one of our panelists, who is very busy. But again, we want to appreciate him with all of the busy schedule. He can find the time, to come on and see how best to inform the Liberian people home and abroad. So we are privileged to have with us the Honorable Abubakar Ba. Honorable Ba, welcome, sir. How are you?
Oh,
Happy.
well, thank you very much, Prince Sharif. Thanks to your creativity and mercy loyalty that is very unmatched for keeping and maintaining this platform. You have made it your responsibility and duty to always keep our people informed. And I don't know what energizes you to keep talking for our people, but I'm sure you are inspired by the suffering our people are going through every day in Liberia. Hence, you cannot get tired when your people are being held in economic bondage and hostages, in their own country, in the midst of so much. So I'd like to say thanks for that, for keeping the show going, and Happy New Year to you. Wishing you the best of years to come. If you think you have had good time on earth, I'm sure you want to say that the best is yet to come, because you're a good man who's sincere about the forward mobility of your society. You are in America, you say, well, I'm okay, man. I can find for myself, my family. I don't care what's happening back home. but you chose to remain very unbending, unwavering in your quest to seeing a better Liberia. Hence, you've committed yourself to providing information, education, enlightenment to our people. So, yeah, thank you very much. And I see my own brother Randall, so in the platform. So, yeah, I have time here, and hopefully we can dissect the issues that are currently unfolding in Liberia. We can make what is sensible, the trash, what need to be trashed. God, yeah. So thank you very much. I feel happy on the show today.
Thank you so much, Honorable Abubakar Ba, for such a compliment. We see it as a humble, acceptance, and we want to say thank you. We are inspired by people like you, people like the Honorable Dowayu, who, when you were given the opportunity to serve in government, despite of what people said about, you people being young people had already indicted you people before you were even appointed. Where they say, oh, these are young people. They will not do nothing. Everybody will steal money. They men say, when I work for 1,000 US, you take them and made a minister. They will run away with the country money. They will do this. They will do that. But at the end of the day, you people were able to prove yourself worthy of a cost that indeed Liberia is all that you have, and you will do everything to defend and protect not only Liberia as a nation, but your image. So we are inspired by people like you and many other young people in the government, like Man Mercy, Kaba, etc., who perform exceptionally well. That today, those who are the puppets, and one would say, the miscreants of the rescue regime, they are still looking for indictment that they cannot find on you young people. While it is true that you people were indicted before even entering the offices that you guys served in, but up to now they are still looking for, evidence to prove you people guilty. So we are inspired by people like you. So thank you so much, Honorable Randolph Masekwe Dubayu. Welcome, Chief. How are you, sir?
Thank you. So I'm driving. I will park in another second year. I'm a figure, a practical scientist. So I'm mostly in the field most of the time. So I guess you have already partnered my background for far so long. So my background is not strange to Abu. And everyone, matter of fact, before coming on this show, Abu called me this morning. We talked on video. He saw my background. But the audience may not be aware of my background. The audience may not know my background. So I have to state for the record and for the audience that I'm always in the field, and I'm in the field, doing what I love best, what I know, what I went to school to execute. So part of my background. Happy New Year to everyone. For those of you listening to me for the first time in 2026. It's my first time since I was born in 2026 to get on this show. So those of you listening to me, I'd like to say thank you for holding the ground, keeping the ground. Thanks to our lead host, Prince Sharif, keeping the redemption. God forbid, the 1 million time, the redemption hour. I live very active, potent, and exceedingly productive beyond our own imagination. So you all know I was on my break. I was on my annual engagement break, and I went back to the country. I saw a country being hule, uh, uh, misled in an upside down position. The country is not being led rightfully, it's being misled. It's been led in an upside down position, in a counterproductive position instead of a constant and stable position. And I met Chokon, we interacted. Chokon was with me, and we had time together, we sat together, we ate. Much of what I did in that country, Prince, I did not put it on social media because the country is not secure, Prince. For my own personal security, I could not, show much of what I did. I even went cringy there. I didn't talk about it. I've been beyond open on the Nodozo movement. This guy is desperate. He got terrible history. So I needed to position myself in a way. It's not just about the news, it's about the outcome. But I can tell you from what I saw in the country, the anger, the disappointment in people's faces, and Chokon is my witness, man. We went to a few places. we have to share the little we have with people hungry in that country. So I will talk about much of my experience, the reason why I was out of the show, but with no regret, and I was not jittering because I knew in my absence, a person like you, Choco, and others will have the show very vibrant, and so I felt like I was still on the show because whether or not I'm here or not, Prince Sherry, they believe in confidence I have in you. I don't think you have it in yourself. And so we are glad to be back in the new year to keep moving. I went to Liberia, I put the region on trial. We unclothed them, we naked them, we use our bare hands and engage them. And the masses now know who the real giants are. So I'm back again to continue the fight. I say my support, let me just openly say my support to Chokon. Chokon is the man for the job. Chokon is contesting, if you're not aware, for the presidency of the motorcycle union. He deserved that. He has sacrificed over the year. And so, Chokon, I salute you. And thank you too for being on the show every day. Even while I was out of this show, I saw you. You were very constant. And so we are glad to be here. I'm very happy, last to see my brother Abu Bagaba. Abu Bagaba is somebody who he looks up to me, but he doesn't know how I look up to him. Abu Bagaba is one of the most talented Liberians I've ever interacted with. Abu Bagaba right now they making talk like you not believe it, Prince Sherry. That mean he will talk like you not believe it. Abu showing somebody they making talk like Indian man. Abu got a ability. He said people in that country they say they're doing mimic. Abu can talk to anybody. He can transform a voice in a second. You not believe it. So and he's a smart brother. Abu one time when I came from my first master and said, brother, I want to get my master's too. I'm jealous, but I'm positively jealous of you. The same way you got a master, please show me the way how we can do it. I mean, Abu work together. Before I go to Abu had a master's. So he's somebody we got a very deep relationship. So his voice is commanding. Abu has a very strong commanding voice, Chokon. So seeing Abu out of the show, I was concerned. And I was so glad he reached out. He said, oh, man, you know the terrain, And I actually understand that. So we are back on the show. I may not be regular, Abu may not be regular, Chokon may not be regular, but hey, all of us who are panelists on this show, make it your duty at least once a week to appear. So I'd like to pause this far and now turn over to Prince Sherry, who will usher in Chokon Gray. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dobayu. Our brother Chokon, let's welcome Chokon. Chokon, again, we want to say welcome and thank you so much for everything you do. All of the videos that you sent to us, they are all inspiring. We've been playing it on the show, and it has really, really been, very, very insightful. Not only insightful, but educating our people relative to what is going on in Liberia, especially with those videos, showing what is happening. We really, really do appreciate it. And we want to say welcome. How are you? Welcome, Chief Chokon.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay by the grace of God. I'm okay. Then up and down, serve my election. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you again and welcome. And fellow Liberian, for those of you who are listening, we want to say do us a favor, hit the share button and get ready in the comment section. And when the time reach for you to call, you can definitely give us a call and then make your point. I want to start with Honorable Abubakar Ba. We want to look at the issue of the rule of law and government effectiveness. And to do this, I want to display something for our people to see. I want to display something here for our people to see. And this is from the MCC report, of 2025 under the regime of Joseph Nyuma Boeka, or we say the rescue mission. And I want to display this here so that you can see and we understand that what we are saying is not just from us, but it's actually data-based, driven discussion. So when you look here, fellow Liberians, where you are looking at, you see here government effectiveness and the rule of law. Government effectiveness and the rule of law. This is 2025 MCC report. We see that under the Boeka-led administration, government effectiveness and the rule of law, the government dismally performed. I mean, very terribly, they performed. The 2025 report, it highlights serious shortcoming. When you look in details, you will see that it highlights serious shortcoming. In these areas, we see, poor governance and poor accountability. We see disrespect for, one would say the chain of command as far as the governance system is concerned. And this can have a very far-reaching, consequences on the citizens, including, inadequate public services and, the increase in corruption. Because when government is ineffective, these are some of the, the backlash, or these are some of the disadvantages that we have. But I want to hear from you, Honorable Abubakar Ba. The rule of law, to be very specific, that this particular government performed poorly in the MCC report. And from all of the report that we have seen, even in Liberia, I mean, the NEMO report and all of these other, local, I mean, our own local, one would say, institution that hold government accountable. All of the reports that they have given has shown a very terrible record on the government when it comes to the rule of law. Where are you on this? How does this affect our democracy? You of recent, you are in government. And if you would like to just juxtapose some of the issues, but let's hear from you on this government, on this rule of law, as far as this government is concerned.
When you have a government that is more concerned about public relations than the provision of public goods and services, this is what you get. The government is more concerned about getting fancy and beautiful, headlines on the newspaper, on the radio, than actually impacting the lives of the people. Going back to your question, the rule of law is the meat of every administration. It is, like they will say, the mitochondria, the powerhouse of every administration. If there is rule of law, there will be accountability, there will be transparency, there will be the provision of social amenities, there will be respect for the courts, there will be respect for the constitution and statutes of the land. There will be implementation of policy prescriptions. There will be hospital built. There will be rules everywhere that are being followed. If you see the way in which the Barker administration took off or started off, when she came to power, they decided to disrespect all of the tenure positions. And what is an irony is that the current president, Joseph Yuma Boakai, was president of the Liberian Senate when they passed those laws requiring that certain government functionaries and institutions become a tenure or tenure institutions, so as to ensure that people have independence in the discharge of their duties, that they are free from political, or may I say, administrative intervention from the executive mansion in their functions, that there will be total reliance on what the law says on the book, that no one will get involved into when it comes to the execution, because government is execution. There's no government reliability, or may I say efficacy, without any form of implementation of laws or implementation of policy that positively affect the life of the people. So When they took over, they decided to violate those 10. People ran to the court. People who felt aggrieved. Managing director, they ran to the court. And what happened? Director generals, what happened? The court ruled in their favor that the government of Joseph Newman Barker was in wanton, flagrant, willful display of arrogance, or may I say, willful violation of the very laws that he, Joseph Newman Barker, signed as president of the Senate when he served as vice president under the Unity Party-led government headed by Ellen Johnson at the time. To have seen Mr. Barker come to power on the basis of saying that he's a governing aspect for the last 40 years that he's been in power, to see him violating those statutes, those laws, that is why the Americans, through the MCC, they graded the government as very poor. The government failed when it comes to government efficiency, when it comes to what? Rule of law. When there is no rule of law, the police will not get any respect. This is why you see the police, they behave like rebels. Gregory Como, who says that he went to Harvard University and got certificate from there. The police now behaving like junta or junta. They behave like they seize power. We've seen a malicious style of policing because there is no respect for the rule of law. We've seen top brass within the governance structure of the country, some in the security sector. Instead of protecting citizens, what they do, they violate the right. They have gone even to the extent of violating the body part of young people, especially boys. You saw it recently.
So,
Shows
Honorable
that
Abubakar Ba,
for the rule of law, yeah.
thank you. Before we move on to our brother Trokon, under the CDC-led administration, the last report that we received from the MCC, the CDC was at 54. And what we received from the Unity Party, it is at 41. One would say, whether be a 41 or 54, the difference is just 7. But the CDC also did not reach the 100%. The government which you're working did not reach the 100%. They were at 54, while this government is at 57. So one would believe that you are not in the position, or does not have, one would say, the moral rectitude to be able to question this particular government failure, because you did the same. You had 54 while this government had 47. How do you respond to that in the next 30 seconds before we go to our brother?
Very simple, very simple, very simple. The higher number carry it. If I'm older than you, Prince Sherry was 7 years to me, I'm your big brother. So what we thought that they said George Weah and the CDC knows nothing about governance. A George Weah who say knows nothing about governance, he scored 54. You in a labyrinthable place, you that say you know everything, you are the most educated people that Liberia has ever produced. You move off from 54 and you brought up all the way down to 41. Countries that we long past that we do, they are now teaching us when it comes to governance. They are now teaching us governance. How do you reconcile that? You reconcile that by saying that it's either you overly hype yourself and you came to power, you have shown your incompetence. This is gross incompetence on the part of Joseph Newman Barker.
Thank you.
He came with a fake sting to steal from the Liberian people, to lie to them, and now reality has caught up with them, and there's no way back for them. This is why every other report that you see coming out now are reports that are reporting what? Negative about the government. They
Thank
only
you.
try to polish some for them, but the government in all sectors, they have failed, health-wise, education-wise, everything-wise, the government is doing little or nothing to addressing the real issue. But rather, as I started, I said the government is interested in good headlines, public relations, than what public goods and services. So this is why we are in the mess on Joseph Mabaka.
Thank you so much, Honorable Abubakar Ba. Let's go to our brother Chokon. My brother Chokon, the same question goes to you. The issue of the rule of law. We saw that this government performed dismally, and we are seeing what is happening. You are one person who are in the better position to tell us about the rule of law, because your people who you represent, on a daily basis are being abused and etc. etc. We are now in 2026, the 10th year of this particular government. With still things not improving. Let's hear from you, sir. What do you make of this issue on the rule of law? Do you think the MCC report was just a number that we should not significantly look at? We should not regard the number? What do you think? Let's hear from you, sir.
Again, I want to say thanks to everyone. I think the guys from the MPC, they try to be diplomatic in terms of their reporters. There are words or there are ways to present the report. I think they try to be diplomatic. The reality is, that report in my mind, sure, I ain't been worse on that. But again, they try to be diplomatic. So the realities are everywhere. Look, these people beat motorcycle criminals. I'm not talking about different group of people. Take your camera in the street. Every day you go in the street, you see police posting there with patrol in their hands. 6. And they are doing it like they don't have any. There is no journalists around the country. They are doing it. There is no civil society in the country. These people beat our people like common criminals on a daily basis. They harass the driver, the people motorcycle, the common criminals. So it is clear. You guys got no respect for the rule of law. If people can be brave, since 1822, when to see a seated lawmaker being flogged by a police officer, that happened on a Gregory Como. A seated lawmaker was flogged, not anywhere else, but at the office at the Capitol building. And Kwaga and supposed to be surprised that he's still in the rule of law. The guy said, I think the boy trying to be diplomatic. The federal government went acting job. Kill innocent people there. Is it Kwaga surprised at every report? No, it's not. Because that's what you're saying. You said that for me, like I said, I think the guy trying to be diplomatic from the MCC. But in my mind, the report should be a bit more terrible than that. Because this government has done it well. This government has done it well. A Guinean citizen escaped from death, came to Liberia as a rescue. For rescue, rather. What Baga do? For 10 people, he sent a young man over. I know Kalilu, how they call him. Who knows what is their life? For 10 seconds. Baga arrested that man, sent him over to the Guinean authority. They seen government for breakfast. They used human blood for breakfast. They went into jail. When Liberians were protesting against foreign companies for bad labor practices, the government said, no, we will kill you and protect you with the white people. We will kill you and true to their word, they did it. And you see the government is surprised at the report. In my mind, I think the guys from the MC try to be diplomatic, but there are words they could use, and that was clearly describe the government action. And people got zero respect for the government. This government locally highest court in the land. In the case of the speaker, the chair of powerful person in the country. After all, they read my role. When the court said no, they're your lab buster. He's a legitimate speaker. But I look in his Supreme Court face, the chief justice straight in her face and say, to here with you. I was too busy with the devil. Sunday. Who were pretending to be the moral voices in this country? The Liberal Council for Churches, all wicked people, the rebel, the men that the Supreme Court is spread to as the illegitimate speaker. They call here honoring this century for violating our constitution. And so these are the problems that we are facing. So for me, Trust me, the government will never, even if they take the next, God forbid, from now to the end of their term, they will never ever pass in the rule of law because it is clear that they are
So,
yet to follow the order of the law.
so, so how do you respond to one who says that in order to maintain rule of law, in order to maintain the peace and the safety, the security of a nation, police are not going to use the Bible. They are going to use maybe one would say either lethal or non-lethal force, depending on the situation. And one will also say that, these claims that you've made, maybe others will say that you are escalating it. You're trying to make it look political. You are trying to amplify what is happening. What you are saying is not the reality, or you are just trying to exaggerate what is happening on the ground relative to the rule of law. But as far as we are concerned, speaking from the mind of others and trying to play the devil advocate, one would say Liberia is okay. Liberia is fine. We are at peace. There is no problem in our nation. So it means the government is doing better. How do you respond to that?
So the government don't have to take my word for a fact. The government just need to listen to the government own respond to this issue. You know, one of the beautiful thing I like about them, they are lie until they are forgotten about some of their lies. To the extent that they are not admitting. But some of the things happen, they can say it happens in 1822, so they are not the first people. So they acknowledge. So I don't waste my time. The government said they are now serving as our witnesses. The government officials are serving as our witnesses. Take for example, like that young man that was getting raped by government officials. You know the justification the government giving? It happens in 1822. It happens in tormentor. Eh? So do I need to be arguing with somebody when they kill the motorcycle to stay with the bridge? What's the justification the government giving? Is it mobile money high? So because mobile money high, you should go kill somebody, child? Eh? When the government collected over 14 million United States dollars and made our people hopeless and useless, made them to rest on their back, sit around and ban them. What's the justification the government gives? You say now all the capital city can allow more what is that? For the criminal they collect our money. So I don't argue with people. The government officials themselves are our witnesses. When you raise it, they say no, it used to happen total, it used to happen tormentor, it used to happen direct. So meaning that they have acknowledged all of the things that we are saying. And when they go respond, they can say no, it ain't happening. Because the facts are available. The good thing about our country right now is that almost everybody in this country, they are serving as citizen journalists. If something happens now, they will put their phone camera on. We are not living in the ancient days where people don't have access to technology. People are recording now. Anything happens, now put their phone on. So there's no way you can deny it. So the government now admitting and saying it used to happen to him, to Otan, it used to happen to Julius D. Rather. So they themselves as well. For somebody to say, I trying to exaggerate, no, listen to the government who respond to these issues.
Thank you so much, my brother Chokon.
So
Let's get to
that's the country that we have. So
Thank you.
I don't argue with people.
So, Honorable Duwayu, let's hear from you on this issue of the rule of law. Quite recently, you was in Liberia. You are almost all of the time in Liberia. You go there on a daily basis. I can say your eyes, ears, and everything. You are in Liberia. You are just here. Maybe one would say by means of the body, but your soul, spirit, and everything is in Liberia. So let's hear from you relative to this issue of the rule of law and the 2025 MCC report. Do you think that these are all just political numbers that was just placed on a sheet of paper and has no effect, or you are not seeing it in Liberia? Let's hear from you, sir. What do you make of these numbers?
But Sherry, before there's certain things before you discuss it, you gotta put it in context. You don't go in the mosque and you start reading from the Bible. You don't go in the temple and start reading from the Quran. So when you step in rule of law in podcast switching, I'm inclined and very much pushed to ask you, let's find know what is rule of law and what does Boaka stands for, what his government stands for. So you tell me what you define as rule of law. How do you understand rule of law? Let's show to me what rule of law should be left for, then I will respond to your question. So what rule of law, when you say rule of law, what comes to mind? Let me understand that from you first. I mean, anybody can answer though.
Okay, so I just want you to put it in your context. Basically, one would say rule of law, it's just respect for, people's right, people's dignity, respect for constitution, authority, and what is enshrined in the book,
So
and
okay,
etc.
so let's
But
say
let's
right there.
hear from you.
So now the lead architect of a state, leader of the state, Waka, does he understand, respect, rule of law? No. Waka was dismissed for corruption. Anybody who is corrupt, it means that person doesn't follow the rule of law. They don't respect the rules of engagement. Waka was dismissed by a military government. Waka formed the Lofa Defense Force to initiate a revolution against the state. A legally constituted government. Waka formed a rebel group in the Lofa Defense Force, butchering, tearing apart, disrespecting the rule of law. So when I'm asking you what is rule of law, you gotta know who is ruling that law for before you talk about it. Why can't you talk about rule of law? They are not synonymous. They are in antipodial justice position. They are in anti-justice position. So they are antipodially juxtaposed. They can meet the in opposing direction. His unity party, they were on record for saying even if it costs for them to dance with the devil, they would dance with the devil. During the campaign, people were killed, brutalized. Waka made no statement. So the premise on which Waka was elected was against the rule of law. Nima County, there were places, photos were not going there. The basis on which Waka was elected was, voter fraud, manipulation, lies, deceit, dishonesty, orchestrated lies. So when you're talking to me about governance and you call Waka ni around rule of law, you confuse the conversation. You make the conversation very difficult for me. That's why ridiculous. It was a rhetorical question when I ask you what is rule of law first. So everything about this government, firstly, they took almost a year. So that IRS agenda they wrote, they say from 2024 to 2029 is false and misleading, because they took the entire 2024 writing the IRS agenda. So 2024 is out. That should actually be from 2025 to 2026, because 1 year was wasted. They let the country of any governance agenda or any document to reference. So these guys been leading our country with no prescription, nothing. It was just the country was in a free flow, flowing itself very freely. So we cannot be talking serious now. We ask about Waka and rule of law. No. It, asking Satan about righteousness. It's a saying, you think Satan will go heaven? Satan he's not working to go heaven. Satan is working to prevent people from going heaven. He's working to ensure that hell is filled. So when you asking Satan, you gotta be mentioning Satan with respect to how many people in converting to go hell, not to go heaven. So talking about Waka and you talking about rule of law is a fundamental misunderstanding of who Waka is and what Waka represents. Waka represents the rule of law in an upside down position. Waka is on record for stating that he squandered the opportunity of the state. People who squandered opportunity that are meant for others are people who don't give a heck about rule of law. Waka yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so one may ask, under your regime, the regime that you serve in, we also saw that there were challenges. In fact, one of the things that people continue to accuse your regime of, one would say, the three missing boys. These boys got missing. And these are all indicators that, the rule of law was completely damaged under your regime. How do you respond to that?
Rule of law. Several times our government went to court. We lost cases against us. We lost cases as a certain government. Rule of law, people want to protest, we give them food, consistent with the Geneva Convention. Food, bread. We can expect the mansion.
They don't make people on actually making work. I think it's very important. Very important.
1 second, right? The greatest evidence in the court of law is admitting those who orchestrated the lies, the false narrative, Stanton Waterspoon, they have come out and said that was a lie. In the court of competent jurisdiction, the greatest evidence is admittance. If you come out and admit, so there's no case. A few days ago, this girl was on. I was saying that video. The girl she apologized. I was saying the video to play it in. They will answer you. The girl said she apologized to Jefferson Koji because everything that was said on Valley Tele and other things, they were all lies. So you ask him about 3 missing boys. When Stanton Waterspoon on the show said they were all lies. When Justina Taylor, the girl who said, they were raping her, blah, 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 she came when she and Costa went into confusion. She confessed. She said she was used because she wanted a son. So you don't waste our time to ask all these things. So on our government, the rule of law was clear. It was vertically erected. We honor the rule of law. People went to court, they lost the cases. Our own government lost cases in this government. How many cases have they lost? So this government doesn't believe in the rule of law, and the records are there. So Choco, you can come in on that. You can come in.
Yeah, Choco, just come in 30 seconds, then we'll go.
So just the 3 missing boys in law. Do you know that Timothy is currently the president of all the senior within Latino? You know that where the guy from the university said he was John where I sent him to go and see the 3 missing boys skinny. The brother was educated. Currently, he's a president of all the senior who mean anybody who wants in bad body, you got to see Timothy first. You feel like your body will be in bad. So that's the information. So how can somebody who was used by the former government to kill 3 native boys and start a killing, and then you come to power now, you educate it, anybody that wants in bad body in the country, you have to go to Timothy. You see, it's not that close to you. You see the contradiction? So the guys are all liars.
Thank you. Honorable Abubakar Ba, I just want you.
So before Abu come in again, look, let me tell you this thing we have to nip it in the bud. Those fools in power, they start in this country and lie. If you say we kill auditors, now you preside all the police, now you preside all the justice system, you got all the evidence. What's stopping you from prosecuting us? Those 3 missing boys, the issue about murder, there's no statute of limitation on when and how to investigate murder. Why don't you open the case? It's an open case. You can always open it. You got all the evidence. Failure on your part to adjudicate these matters based on the facts available in your hand only bring us to the point where we are at least in agreement with Stanton that everything was just lies. That's just the point I wanted to indicate, Abu. You can come in.
Thank you so much. Honorable Abubakar Ba, just sum this up as we move to our next discussion point. The issue of the rule of law.
The issue of the rule of law is dead in Liberia under Joseph Numa Boakai. The issue of the rule of law, it also not only following the law, but it also places premium on doing things that promotes accountability and transparency as you lead your people. We have been talking about the issue about corruption linked to the 4 years project. The president has been lying about it. His ministers have been lying about it. I'm not talking about the Minister of Information, his deputy. We're talking about the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. In fact, they have gone a step further, some of them trying to lie on a dead former minister of president because the dead cannot talk, so they try to leave that on him. What are we saying? We're seeing that Ntrokon struck a very important point. The first upheaval, civil upheaval, may I say, labor upheaval, if you put it, that we saw in Kinjo in February of 2024, at the time the government was barely a month old. We saw the police, Honor Gregory Coleman, the former SOD commander, orchestrating wanton abuse of power, shoot and kill mission. Many people got killed and others got wounded. Some people have been permanently now reduced to disability because they were speaking out on, the issue about how they are being treated by this foreign company operating in Kinjal, taking the people resources and giving them little or nothing. So That is what we call rule of law, in full disrespect, that the people cannot speak out when they are aggrieved. And following some of the comments from our viewers, people, some say that power is inherent in the people. Is this government thinking that way or acting that way? Absolutely not. The power, the power that be, they are the custodian of the power. They are the utilizers of the power, and they are the one using the power that they have to make life difficult for our people. And this is why, one of the greatest African writers said, Wosenyenka, he said, power in the hands of an African man is a weapon against his own people. Joseph Newman Boyka has been using power to reduce our people to nothingness. They don't respect the laws, because if they do, the president will not be riding a car or cars, fleets of vehicles that are in the millions when his people are going to bear with hunger. That's against rule of law. Rule of law says that you must make sure as a government to provide basic social services for the people. You came to serve. That's service. But are you serving? You're not serving. What you are doing to the people, you are masterminding, you are maneuvering the people, you are what you call misusing the power that the people gave to you. And this is why we've seen our country in total retrogression. These reports that are coming, Nemo, just a few days ago, you saw that. The release a damning report against the government. This is a local civil society organization that is on the ground, that they are seeing that the government has scored 0% in all sector, all thematic area. If you want to take the arrest agenda, where they talk about agriculture, they talk about rule of law, they talk about reconciliation. We've seen a lot of things that that they put in that arrest agenda: education, sanitation, tourism. You tell me which one of these sectors that are now booming under Joseph Newman Boyka? None of them. They are all struggling. They are underfunded, and those people who are in authority, they are milking from the system. They are behaving like, as they know that Liberia will end after Joseph Newman Boyka. They are stealing. They're not concerned about living by what rule of law entails. This is why the Supreme Court will speak. They defy it. In fact, what they do, they force people to take early retirement at the courts. So many of the judges are there, so as to what, to fractionalize or sectionalize the judiciary. This is why you see most of the guys are either from Bapolu, or they are from Lofa, or they are from Nimba. I mean, no disrespect to citizens of these great counties, but when you have the two most powerful people come from those regions, and they are prioritized placing people that they are from the same area, then it tends to tell us that these guys are preparing for 2029 to rig election, to do things, because at the end of the day, when you and I, we feel aggrieved, when politicians, ordinary citizens feel aggrieved about something, they run to the court. And when you run to the court, and then Jeremiah Cohn, for instance, he calls his kinsmen on the bench. There are how many of them there for Nimba? He called them and tell them, look, this thing is about Nimba County. You have to ensure that these guys, they do not get justice. You have to make sure that this coming up. And this is what we are witnessing. Cases that you and I know that they represent falsification of evidence, as we've seen with the issue of the capital arson case. The government has been, asking to be the one, always asking for what, referral. I mean, asking for time extension, because they said they had all of the evidence. They don't have it. Now what they do delay tactics. They grab some people. Children are now dying. Most of the guys now, they are having sicknesses that we fear for them, that even if they come from jail, they will not be useful to themselves, at least to tell about society, because they are being given harsh treatment in jail. They are not being fed 3 times a day. They have been denied to even see family members. And all of that, what does it amount to? It amount to what? lack of respect for the rule of law. Prisoners, they are not to be treated like slaves. They deserve attention. They deserve to be fed. They deserve to be clothed. They deserve to see their family members visiting them. But the government is denying these people. The government of the day, they don't care about these things. And those are things. And some people, every day you go to the prison, you see people dying there of hunger. All of the
Thank you.
prisons across the country, people are dying there. Every day, you know, this is what's happening. People are dying in the prison because they are not being fed. The people are hungry. You and I, the Liberian people who are outside, they are not in jail. Hunger is suffocating them. You tell me about a government that is reckless, heartless, clueless, and careless about the well-being of our people. People are hungry, so they're dying
Thank
itself.
you.
So the government
Thank,
does not. I mean, you see me speaking like this, I'm so disappointed in a Joseph Numa Baka who came to power to say that he came to rescue the Liberian people, but not knowing that he has come to rescue himself and family member. Flash
thank, thank,
wear customized suits and shoes. An old man living
thank
in
you.
luxury in his old age. This
Thank you
is
so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Abu Bakar Ba. You know, on this issue of the rule of law, I would say it's very simple. Liberian, ask yourself. I just want us to just leave the paper report. But let us ask this question realistically. Let's ask Liberians. My people were in the market. There are videos we are seeing. You think the rule of law is existing in Liberia? When we saw MCC or members of the Monrovia City Corporation went to Douala Market and they took this particular lady goose. They didn't seize it to put in the car. They took her goose and jumped it and put it straight in the septic tank. Wow! And this lady had to jump in the septic tank to go and take her goose from there. She was selling sausages. Imagine in the septic tank where they threw her goose. She jumped there. And even while she was in the septic tank, these MCC police, they kept beating on her for her to leave from that place. No, don't ask me about the rule of law. Or don't ask us. You know who you should ask? Our Jessica Lord. The sister whose throat was almost slit by Luca Riches. Her throat was almost slit by Luca Riches. You all know that case of the American missionary. At the end of the day, under this particular Boyka regime, Luca Riches was seen at the airport. He cranked it foot and he was in the plane the next day to travel out of Liberia. No, don't ask me about the rule of law. Go and ask the late Charlotte Musu mother. When Councillor Gloria Musu Scott told us she saw the person, she put pepper spray on the person. Through the legal process, she and others were indicted and placed behind bars. When Boyka took over as president, he made that to be his first issue on his agenda to ensure that Madam Gloria Mususkat walked away free. We saw Daniel Sando at the court apologizing to Madam Gloria Mususkat. Oh, we sorry. At the end of the day, we saw what happened. Gloria Mususkat walked away scot-free, and today she's appointed at Noka as boss chair. No, go in Lofa and ask Tamba Momo family. When the now Internal Affairs Minister, Francis Sakila Nyimale, ordered that people who have different political belief or they are seditious, that they should be unalive. And Tamba Momo was beaten in a broad daylight in front of thousands of people. At the end of the day, guess what happened? Francis Sakila Nyimale was appointed as Internal Affairs Minister. Or if you're asking about the rule of law, go and ask his family. No, let's not go far. Probably I'm going too far. Go right in Liberia to the Freeport and ask our brother Joshua family. When Joshua was beaten by people like Queen Johnson, it is on record. It's not something that we're making up. The videos are there. That brother was beaten. At the end of the day, he succumbed to death from internal bleeding. Guess what happened? Queen Johnson was given a lucrative position for that particular act of murder in a broad daylight at the Freeport. Very excited. Oh, she was okay. Oh, she was fine. No, if you think I'm lying, go to King Joe. Go and ask the people. If you think I'm lying, Lord, let that go far. Go and ask the family of Matthew Moluba. If we are talking about the rule of law, no, wait, hold on. Let me the people paper. Let people want to read that it to be the analysis to be. Go and ask the family of Matthew Moluba. Oh, whoa, whoa, maybe that one are there. Go and ask students at the University of Liberia under this Brecker regime when they were beaten severely. In fact, according to the information that we gather, some of these people, especially the females, they were sexually harassed by these police officers. Go and ask them. Oh no, maybe we're going too far. Go and ask the student from William V. Todmore the last time when they said teachers were not going to school and they petitioned their government when they went on the street. Get what happened? The videos are here. Police said, "Don't worry, we're coming for you." They beat them, just the people who came from outer space. No, go and ask. No, I tell me, wait, don't rush. Go and ask the people who are visually impaired, the people who can see. Sorry, with not disrespect, but we'll break it down. The people that who can see. The last time all of them gather, they go to Joseph Burger and say, Mr. Burger, Mr. President, the men where you pull here as our big men, the men eating our money. Oh, Burger say, okay, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Guess what happened? He sent police people. People who are visually impaired. They were beaten, they were dragged, and they were humiliated in a broad daylight. Yes, you're talking about the rule of law under this government. Or if you want to talk about the rule of law, go right here to how you call the central bank. Go ask our man Alosha Talu. Alosha Talu was there. Joseph Newman Brecker said you got to move from there. Even though the man had 10-year position. Just like the first thing they lied, I want the man stole money. The man say, "Oh, I stole." I say, "Yeah, I go to the court now. Let the court go prove what I stole. And I stole no money." And one of my men can say, "What if I stole and I stole? Then the court will tell me what I stole." Immediately he went to the court. Guess what happened? Mr. Brecker passed around the next day and key and say, "My man, I beg you, leave that thing, take it from down there. We know when you go down there, you will disgrace or you can't hold this small money and move from down there." No, if you think I am lying, go and ask Honorable Collins. From how you call Bapulu, Representative Collins. When Joseph Newman Brecker paid people to remove a legal speaker, when 3 good times our international people came from ECOWAS, they came to Liberia and said, "Mr. Brecker, the way you are proceeding is not right." Because I will not let it. That for take over, I want move until I move for take over. I will not say it. He swore to a mountain water. He said he will move for take over. With all of the wrongs that we saw and all of the missteps and the disrespect for the rule of law, just like Newman Brecker said, I will not listen. To the extent, even the Justice Minister, Councillor Oswald Tue, the thing what Supreme Court say, he said, "You all the leaders, Supreme Court people will try our own setting here. They may try our own thing." Or you asking about the rule of law? No, if you're asking about the rule of law, then let me carry it to the most recent one. When Madam Julie Andy Tapper felt insulted by one idiot by the name of Opa, and she decided to go to the court. Bushuban Keita, who is the legal advisor to the president, he got a fool. He got a solicitor. He said, "Oh man, you know what happened? Prophet Key, that one man, that man can be causing for Joseph Newman Brecker. Lead that man, he must soon carry him to court. That man must soon enter courthouse." And the next day, that case was a dead case. Oh, no. Let me just rest on this before we go to the next issue and I ask my panelists. Y'all remember when NEC said there was some fraudulent act that was carried on by the same old man called Prophet Key. He's a prophet, not prophet at Opa, that Naya Bukwa. When he did something that was fraudulent with the NEC processes, he was collected and put to prison. The police people are keeping him. Vice President called, he said, "You know what happened? That man, my man, that man I can cause for me. And that man, that he the causing man for me. You're free that man immediately, effectively, without no delay." The man was Osa. He was Osa. Fellow Liberians, when people like Edrich, they were raped at the NSA headquarters.
The people who supposed to be keeping law, we're asking about rule of law. That's why they let lead people, let come to reality, practical. The people who say they're supposed to be protecting, they're supposed to enforce the rule of law. They told the people there and carried them to NSA headquarters. The people opened their now and pumped them good. You're sorry, and pumped them good. The people are crying, say they pumping oil in a particular NCC in the NSA play. They pump also, they torture also. Doctors even approve. Yes, indeed, these people they were tortured. They were malhandled. At the end of the day, doctors say, but the people ain't gonna go to hospital. Just like you might work, say go to work where you call hospital to work at a hospital. As I speak to you, they are staying in jail. These are practical examples. So look at all of these. There are too many. We can't. If we say one, they score that alone, that whole rule of law, we'll be here for the next 1 month. My people will not move from here. But these are all just classic example, practical example that the people are faced with. Breaking homes all over the place in the name of the people house on the alley. You are not even giving them that respect. Today we're seeing what is happening. Or you are asking us about the rule of law. When Joseph Newman Boyka then stole the children money, student money, they prepared a president, but he said student money they went. If I got foreign affairs minister in the Kona, they stole student money. They say they're saying in America and other area to go for scholarship. They eat the children money. Nobody was held accountable. Our woman too, Katumu Boyka got veg. She said, "But I come to my untu." The woman said she got some kind of scholarship. Before we go low, she ate another student money too. Working for her, nothing. You asking about the rule of law, fellow Liberians? We are in a deep mess with what we are looking at. And there's the reason why we must continue to talk. We must continue to expose this government. Because the more we expose them, is the more others who are strong enough will come to our aid. Today, what we are seeing, look at the visa restriction. But we'll come to that. And that will just lead me to the next issue as it relates to this issue of governance. And I want to start from Honorable Dobayu. Honorable Dobayu, quite recently, Liberia benefited from a work that was done by His Excellency President Dr. George Manneh Weah. Under this regime, we saw ourselves at the level of the non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council at the United Nations, where we all celebrated because that was a plus for the country. In less than no time, America, that is our traditional ally, that also helped one way or the other to ensure that we also got that seat. And that heavy lifting was done by His Excellency President Weah. And Joseph Newman Boyka received it on a silver platter. In less than no time today, we are placed on visa freeze. Reports that are coming from here. I was just looking just now at the how you call it, the some kind of report. How you call it, the economic report. I think how you call the economic. I'll look at that report again. The economic situation report on Liberia. The reports that are coming from here, they are so terrible. And the last of which is this recent one. You just took seat as non-permanent member on Security Council. They finish putting visa freeze on you. They say you, oh man, you freeze. Let's hear from you, sir. How does this affect government?
So this and let's go beyond government, because government changes, the state does not change. So I like to ask you, how does it affect the state? Because what affects the state affects the people. Even though what affects the government does affect the people, but government is not constant, it changes. What remains constant is the state and the people. So, for example, 6 years ago, George Weah was the head of a government. He had a name government. Government has aspiration, but the state doesn't have aspiration. The people do not have aspiration. The state is that territory with a stated, cleared, and defined boundaries, means and bound. They have nautical mile, and they got land and air and oceanic boundaries. So that's the state. The people are the inhabitants, the custodians for whom the government should work. The government is that term bound, you know. The government is that term bound, is that group of people who come for a definite period of time, who decide how a country should be governed, and they go to elections. When they are re-elected, they come back. So the government, the state, and the people is a three parameter I like to talk about. Now, how does this affect the people and the state is what paramount. So the people are affected by this, owing to the fact that first our government's statement that led to the immediate action by the U.S. government was a reckless statement. It was not thoroughly, thought about. It was a loose statement, perfectly delivered by Mr. Louis Brown, a three Hebrew brother, aka Attire Suffering. You remember that time when you say entire suffering, you're on your Attire Suffering campaign. So Louis Brown was a gentleman who delivered that funny rhetorics at the United Nations, condemning our traditional ally, the great United States of America. So this too, when he had a glamorous in a program where he lashed at our traditional ally America. He put his mouth in there to messy affair, which he had no business putting his mouth in. So America dealing with their issue, international and geopolitical issue. Liberia, we're not even feeding ourselves. To put your mouth to people conversation, you must reach that level. We're not at that level. We have serious issue with governance. We can feed ourselves, a handicap budget, we depend on aid. All of these government excesses are very constant, and we want to put our mouth into serious political issues. So that was a misjudgment, a miscarriage of priority. We did not prioritize what we should prioritize. We wrongly, directed our statement in your own region, in your country. You can't even handle governance issue. Since elections ended, you can't even reconcile with your major oppositions. Your people are in turmoil. Common rest, you can produce it. Prices are skyrocketing. People in Morovia don't have access to electricity. These are basic issues that you should focus your attention on. Now, if you feel America is detouring from what they should do, America has done things that directly impact you. If you may enough, why don't you talk to Firestone to do finished products in Liberia? If Liberia felt they have been mature enough, they embarrassed, they don't like what America did to Venezuela. Why don't Liberia put her mouth in things that would directly benefit Liberians? If we're brave enough to say we want to put our mouth on America, if that wasn't a stupid decision, why don't you ask Firestone to start turning the latest into finished product in that country? If you may enough, why don't we do it? Firestone have owed us 99 years of funding concession. If Joseph Boga government feel like they want to get to America and they have reached that level, they really want a Liberian people to benefit. These are radical positions they will take. Go to ArcelorMittal, when you did a deal there, the real asset sharing the deal, you did it in a way that it will favor the very America you see he put him off on. Concessions in the country not paying due. Firestone, there's a lot of irregular issues as it relates to the environment and production. Farmington River or the Farmington Hotel is not paying taxes. These are issues impeding on the people's life on the state. You don't talk about Firestone and 9 years, they're not produced one rubber tire yet. If you really want to get to America based on what they're doing, these are arguments you can raise that will have direct corresponding effect on the state and the people. You left that.
So Honorable Dobayu, how do you respond to people who say, by virtue of Liberia's position as a non-permanent member on the Security Council, that was not a statement of Liberia, but it was a statement of the A3. And no one should blame Liberians for standing up and speaking on behalf of the A3. How do you respond to that?
I mean, Louis Van is representing Liberia. If you're not a state, you cannot be part of A3 nations. They're not individuals. So we're talking about Liberia component in our A3. Because with the statement he made, he represented the A3. In our A3, he represented Liberia. So he can't divorce Liberia's position from that. That position was, when you make statement, who made that statement? The Liberia ambassador. All the other two countries got sense. They put Liberia in front because we are foolish people. Foolishly led by Joseph Boakai. Made a statement he got no business, making. Because you got a serious governance issue. Your arms stink. You're not cleaning here. You want to tell the person say only the arms stink? That's misplaced priority. So the point I was making is that I have supported Boakai Had he gone back and said, let's repeal the Firestone Agreement, America? Because what you're doing now, since you say America first, you're focusing on your America first policy, we too focusing on our liberal first policy. When you do that, you mean. But because of sentiment, global sentiment, they say, Boaga can speak good English, so your officials can speak good English, so we'll talk our own. You go and make a reckless statement when the second highest place the Liberian inhabit other than Liberia is America. You find more Liberian in America than any other place in the world other than Liberia. Only Liberia you go, you find more Liberians.
So, Honorable Doba, you
The
think
places are here.
Mr. Brown acted as an individual, or he had the approval of,
I mean,
the state? I mean, the government,
Mr. Brown,
Mr.
no,
Boyka. How do you?
as a person who wants to serve as a state actor, give him an understanding of governance. No representation of the government, no ambassador makes a statement without the express consent of the ambassador, and the ambassador doesn't give a position without the express consent of the president. That is the hierarchy of control, the channel of communication. So in that situation, when Venezuela was invaded by America, the cabinet must have called a meeting, and the foreign minister briefed the president and say, this is the situation, this is a statement we want to release. The president said, okay, I approve this. So the foreign ambassador communicates with the Liberia permanent representative and plenipotentiary to the UN, who has the power attorney, who has that legitimate authority to deliver Liberia's position on the issue. That was exactly what he did. So what Louis Brown did was a mandate. Trust me, had that statement been made without the express consent of the presidency, but now Louis Brown is dismissed, but now he's recalled, because there's repercussion on every statement made by the representative of the country at the UN. So let nobody tell me that Joe Walker is not aware. If he's not aware, he will have taken an abrupt, undefined administrative action or indefinite administrative action against Mr. Louis Brown.
So then, Honorable Doba,
Yeah.
are you saying that when our Louis Brown, who was also serving in similar capacity under the WIA-led administration, the government that you serve, did what he did at the time? Was it an approval from the government? Is that what you are saying?
But that was why we recall Louis Brown, because he made reckless statement at our time. It was never approved by President Weah. So now you see the dichotomy. Now you see the difference. Now you see when the president gave you the authority, if he didn't act exclusively on your own, you've got the backing of the president whenever you speak. But if you speak loosely, like Louis Brown did in 2018, without the express consent, because at the time he felt like Weah wasn't his president, he didn't need to consult. Besson Gafini at the time was a foreign minister. He was never given any legitimate authority to speak on behalf of the state. He didn't have him. To validate that assertion and claim, the president recalled him. He was recalled. That is how a responsible government operates. So if the government is saying that Louis Brown spoke on his own, what action has been taken against Louis Brown to prevent future or further occurrences? The fact that our government has been passive against Louis Brown, it suggests, in broader terms, it suggests by implied reasoning, stated reasoning, that the action of Louis Brown to speak loosely was an authority given to him by the sovereign authority, of the state. And that sovereign authority is the presidency. Now, let me end on this argument. I hear the government, after making reckless statement, which they did not calculate because they don't care about what happens, because they have money, they've corrupted, they can steal, they have stolen, they got more resources to sustain themselves. So they don't care about immigrant visa, because most people who seek immigrant visa, who seek to relocate in the US, are people who aspire to make life better for themselves. Are people who believe that the country is offering no hope. They live in perpetual oblivion, not knowing what the country gives them the next day. These are people who desire for social mobility, vertical social mobility. They want their life to be better. Nobody in Liberia who can eat 3 square meal, who can afford, who live in a middle class life or upper class life, who want to play DV, or who want to come live in America with wife or family. Trust me, it is the poor people who cannot afford. The poor people who the system have failed. are those people who see America as the ultimate hope. These are people who want to come and migrate here. Our government now today saying, oh, this is about the only immigrant visa or visiting visa is still going on. Come on, 1 second. By you coming on visiting visa, it doesn't benefit Liberia. Because when you come on visiting visa, it benefits the United States. Because for you to be a visitor, you must have demonstrated right now you got 15,000 in your account. How many Liberians can show 15,000 in their account? When you come to America, you stay in hotel as a visitor. Who benefits? It is the American economy. Tourism visa, who benefits? The tourism industry in America is what benefits. So the visiting and tourism visa is a business visa which benefits America. That's not something for Liberian government. I listen to them saying, oh, visiting visa system. But people who visit are people who got money to commute here and there. So it doesn't remit money to Liberia. Those who come in America and still as immigrants are those who remit, send money back home and build homes. So when these people are stopped from coming to America, that is a serious issue, and this is my reaction towards that. My reaction towards that is that our government was careless in cementing our relationship with the great United States of America. Our government care less about the repercussion, the consequences, and outcome. Now they want to shift blame on Liberians living in America with this weak argument that, because Liberians are living on welfare. That's a butcher, weak, feeble, and heedless argument. Because why? If you go back and look at the statistics since 1989, or take it from 1985, most Liberians that have immigrated to America, that one is E. You know what? Those who have moved from Liberia to America, most of them based on asylum or refugee status. All around the world, those who migrate as refugee, they are captured on a status called a vulnerable population. When you move from one country to another as a result of being a refugee or displaced person, you are vulnerable. When you're a vulnerable population, when you're in a vulnerable population, you are entitled to welfare. So, because Liberians came here as refugees and they got welfare, you want to pin them that they were careless, that they lazy? That's wrong. It's a misinterpretation. So, under no condition can I agree that because people were on welfare is a legitimate entitlement. There are set criteria and qualification pre-set for those who will be on welfare. If you don't meet it, they can give it to you. When they give it to you, you mean it. That will not in any way suggest, because when they're giving it to you and they know it will affect people coming in the country, they will tell you it's a disclaimer they will issue it. No disclaimer has been issued over the years for those that receive welfare. So that is not a good justification for the government to use and be bad-mouthing Liberians in America. And this goes to the Liberian in America. The government you support back home, the government you campaign for, the government that is putting you on the bus, the government who went and talked recklessly at the UN, instead of taking responsibility, apologizing, moving forward, they are shifting blame. They are shifting blame, and they're shifting blame at the same time they're making it seem like it's not anything. So our government has fought in diplomatically. They created a diplomatic mess, which has a cascading effect on the people, and we expect the government to apologize. The people now should also know that the government doesn't mean well for them. The government doesn't mean well. The government has
Honorable Dogayu, I want us to learn on this because we've taken quite a while. Of recent, we saw what happened. And just before we can move there on this issue of governance, I want to say to Liberians, my people, the best people who are to grade the government are the ordinary people. And it is now clear. Take your microphone. To the extent that some of their own radio stations that side with the regime, have now abandoned that particular quest of going out and asking the citizens. To the extent now, what is happening now, some of their shows have been reduced to a certain number that they know that people will call on. So, for example, a particular show will have this particular number of Unity partisans who they gave this particular phone number to, and these guys will sit down. In fact, they have created a chat room. So they will say that anytime any rescue puppet or charlatan appear on a particular show, That number, that what they will use to call. And people, oh yeah, everything fine. Oh, everything okay. They've now forgotten and they have left and abandoned this issue of going on the street and asking people just randomly. Because all of the information that are coming from the people, I mean, on the streets and people who are not even attached to politics, is becoming very unfavorable, to the extent that people who gave their life and even supported the rescue regime, some of them today, they are now dying in silence, so to speak. They are in complete silence because this government have failed them. You can hear from them no more. Take for an example, look at what is happening on their quote unquote their own station on Spoon. The guys can no longer continent what this government is doing, to the extent that every time when he come up, the best thing to do is to disgrace the government, because you can't speak otherwise. You cannot even pacify the situation. The way we look at it, let's put it that way. Because you will not even sleep with a clear conscience. You will not sleep with your eye closed. When you see on a daily basis people have been killed, women have been raped, children have been sodomized, and the sodomizer are walking away, or the sodoms, they are working away, with impunity. Those who are carrying on these acts, children are being raped, and at the end of the day, these guys who are carrying on the act because they are associated with the government, they are walking away. So they can no longer continent what is going on, and they just got to speak out. Like the clip of our sister Martina, I'm trying to get it, but because of time, I don't want to how you call deep and go all, but I will try to get it. Maybe hopefully by Wednesday we'll play it here. People who supported them today are not saying, "You're sorry, we lie on you. We lie on you. You're sorry, you forgive us." The governance system is completely broken down. I mean, completely. It's broken down completely. The rule of law is no more. Where the president will come to tell the Liberian people, "Oh, they're here, where the baby and I know about you. You're spending $10 million, but president will come tell you and I know about it." And you think that this government is the government that is effective? Where the president will come tell the whole nation, say that people are doing, they are doing it on their own. So it means that even we as people, we are not even safe. Because if such a thing will be happening, and the president, the head of state, who every time people brief, that's why you got different ministers. Minister of Public Works, the other minister that will brief you. If you will come to country and say, "Oh, and I know about it, the thing where the people are doing, and I know about it." Then I plenty of things, but I cannot know about my people. According to you, if we have to take it that way, they mean I know about plenty of things. You don't even know how the government even running. So you get there, at the end of the day, you get one thing, they put it in a packet, you sit down, and the men are moving on. It is terrible for our nation where we find ourselves. There is a complete collapse in the governance system. And even what is even more scary on Obodobayu is that these people boast of the experience of Joseph Nyuma. They say, "Oh, they may is experienced, they may understand government. They may been there for 40 plenty years. When they make the whole
Useless,
country here will be
useless,
okay."
yes. Useless for
You
the
you,
years.
you lie to the people, and you came to power on the pretense of this man has the experience, he has the connection. But at the end of the day, look at what we are seeing. And Obodobayu, this leads me to our last talking point before we can maybe take one or two calls. That has to do with this issue of the increase in rape and sodomy in our country, especially by government officials. And unfortunately, these government officials are walking away scot-free. Let's hear from you, sir. What is leading to this increase? When you even look at the report from Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Gender has put up a report, very damaging report. Even though they try to manage the number, they try to massage the number to reduce it, but it is still damaging. Honorable Dubayu, where are we? Let's hear from you with this alarming issue of rape, sexual-based violence, and sodomy in our nation.
So we are where we were. We are where we started from. Every time the party is in power, it's either war, if not war, physical war, is psychological, social war, it's gender-based war, it's violent, it's all, and and it's the most ridiculous form of war, where people fighting, social vices, people try to initiate immorality to the highest peak. Today, immorality in our country is like sin. It's like air that you breathe in, because you cannot live without air. Every time United Party is in power, rape, sexual violence, especially homosexuality, sodomy, always on the increase. During the first leg of the Unity Party, Rawaseli was there, and everywhere in the country, boys are leaking Baham. Today, nobody wants to agree, nobody wants to voluntarily consent to be a gay, so they have resorted to a situation where they were raped at your own detriment, involuntarily. You do not give your consent. The guys don't care. All they want is to satisfy their squat, ridiculous, and immoral sexual and social desire. So that's it. That's what pleases them. To rape boys, 14 years old boy, 17-year-old boy, and they're doing it in school. You know, when we were small as a group of, I think, fish swimming together, I think, or birds, according school, things moving together. You know, so they're doing it in group, they're doing it in mass. It tells you that's not normal. In my mind, it has some spiritual connection. Because if 7 men will feel so sexual and they want to have sexual encounter with men, the simplest thing they can do, since 7 of them, or since 2 or 3 of them, they found it pleasurable to have sex with men, they will just have sex among themselves. But the fact that they will transgress and go to somebody who is below age, somebody who has not agreed, and they gain on that person, tells you it just beyond sexual happiness. A spiritual control. They have some of these spirits they are dealing with, and the spirit can tell them to transgress for prosperity. It tells them to transgress so they'll continue staying in power. So these actions are the model action in essence, in short. Because come to think about it, Sharif, if these actions are not influenced by the model behavior and some spiritual incarnation, why, for going heaven's sake, will they gang rape a little boy who is not of age, who has not agreed? Why would they agree to put him into perpetual trauma, damage his life, give him an everlasting social stigma, a mark of social identity for the wrong reason? If their intent is not spiritually driven. The 7 men journalists, Charles Yed, one of the rescue journalists, he reported that in Broadway today. 7 men raping a 17-year-old boy. The 7 men, why don't they don't have a Baham to go after each other? No, they do have. But when they do it among themselves, what they pray for in their spiritual war will not come to reality. They have to do it against somebody. They have to destroy somebody's life and future for them to flourish. The fact that Joseph Boakai has not made a single statement on all of the rape cases, even though his lieutenants, his ministers, his police, they've been accused, they are involved, and he's not making statement, it terrifies us. It makes us want to believe that, or question ourselves, or become critical on the issue. Is he aware? Does he love the? Is he not hearing the news? Why is he careless? What is triggering him to be careless? And why are people not going to jail? The president is not talking. This is happening. So there are many critical questions that come to mind and answer. Because I expect our president to make this a national pandemic and address it, condemn it, disassociate from this. But he hasn't done it, Prince. So can we now say his failure to disassociation? Can we interpret it that he's indirectly, embracing this, manners in our society? This terrible spirit is permeating every corridor. It's terrible in our country. The young people are vulnerable. We got a lot of poor people. If we don't take care, the way the last time they were in the Methodist church, they said they want made the whole team legal, and now we see it happening. Our president not making any statement for me. It brings fear to me. I got a boy child. We got children. We got our younger brothers, and they are vulnerable. To see what is happening at that increasing level, it brings fear in my spine, and I'm worried about the future of Liberia boys' children.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, fellow Liberian, those of you who want to have your say, those of you who want to participate, the number is up there. 443-991-3356 is that number to call. And you will definitely be on with us. And you can have your say on the line. Again, those of you who want to participate, the number to call is right there. 443-991-3356 is that number you can call. And you will definitely be right here and we will hear from you. So again, the number to call is right on the screen. 443-991-3356 is that number to call, and we'll definitely give you an opportunity for you to be here. We have the next 10 minutes to be rounding up, and then we'll be out of here. But you know, Honorable Dobayu, what is even more scary, like you continue to say it, and I want to just, ride on your wave, is that these things are committed by people who are government officials. They are government officials. They are people who are supposed to protect the kids. These are people who people look up to and say, no, these are, government officials. These are big brothers, or these are people with prestige in our society. We know that they can't do this kind of thing. Now, to see these government officials doing these things and walking away with impunity, like we saw in the case of J. Brian McGill, like we saw in the case of what happened at the level of the Ministry of Agriculture with a director there or a consultant. And we continue to see these people walking away with impunity, especially these government officials. And the Ministry of Gender, that should be very vocal on these things. I don't even know what a Ministry of Gender is even in existence under this government. I know that Madam Grammy Harris is there, but I don't even know whether it is functional, because you can't even hear from them. And when you hear from them, they will be talking about how people are using children to do contents. If this thing, that strange thing, that we have not been using children to participate in shows and the rest of it. The last time I can remember a statement from the Ministry of Gender was telling the public there are some children there who, the people there who creating content using as maybe actors or so in their various scripts. Honorable Dobayu, we have a call here. Let's go to this particular caller. Hello, caller. Your name and where you've joined us from. Welcome. Yeah.
I'm Elston, the legend. We say I'm following you guys, and I've been following you guys, and beautiful conversation with you guys. But I have a couple of questions for Dobayu. Dobayu, my first question is: did you have any issues when Zopen were aligned with CDC when you all were in power? Because it's your right to oppose him vehemently, as you claim or you are not a fan of his, or you don't support his ideology in Nigeria. Did you at any point voice or anything when he was aligned with CDC?
Well, I don't know if Oduba you will want to, respond to this, but
let me just make my last point. If you don't want to respond, that's perfectly fine.
No, why is on the line? I could respond though.
Okay. Yeah, okay, no problem. So he's going to respond. So just hold the line.
Why is on the line? Let me tell you this. The gentleman, I don't know who is he, but I've supported Zoe far before he could join the CDC. Right? I've supported Zoe. He's still talking?
Yeah, just hold the line. Just hold the line, and we'll bring you on. Just hold the line. Yeah,
is the gentleman still on?
Yeah, he's still on.
So I hope he's listening. Firstly, if you know me, you know that I've supported Zoe from the time he was opposing CDC since 2005. So I've always supported Zoe, not because of his alignment with the CDC. So the first understand the question came like Zoe has always been with the CDC. No, he has always not been with the CDC. I've always been with the CDC. Zoe was a quote-unquote opposite and independent, but he used to side with the United Party. And several times we used to disagree in private. But I used to support him because at the time, as a young boy, 2005, still somewhere around 10th grade, 11th grade, I saw Zoe buying zinc, and I thought at the time that was the role of a lawmaker. But after almost 20 years today, I have 2 masters, 2 children. With all of my experience going around the world, have education, know the role of a lawmaker. I tend to make a change. 5 years ago, when he came to the CDC, I told him, bro, you have to make a law, man. You have to draft a bill, hemosensitive bill for our county. At the time, it was about 15 years in the house. And I made a solemn, demand from him, and he gave me his words. So to answer your question, I've always supported Zoe, not as a sedition. So my support being withdrawn from him today is not because he was or with now with the CDC, because the 4 years he spent with the CDC is less than the time I have supported him, because I've supported him for nearly 20 years, and in those 20 years he only spent 4 years and benefiting from the CDC because he wanted to be a senator. He could not win on his own as a senator. The first time he tried contesting as a senator in 2014, he was beaten by Marshall Dennis. And knowing the position CDC was as an incumbent and giving our supporter has grown more and more engaged there, he crossed carpeted and came and became a senator. So the question now to you now is to ask Zoe, when you were associating with the CDC, all the nonsense you're talking on Josh Riani, did he talk about it? Today
So
you
we
said,
we,
yeah,
we
today,
have yeah we
yeah,
have another we have another caller. We have another caller that we want to bring in. Let's bring in this caller because the line is is kind of crazy. But let's bring in this call. So hello caller, your name and where you've joined us from. Welcome. All right. Let's hear from you. Question, comment, or concern. Thank you.
My son preached, I never called before on any bring your inspiration to. But just listening to you. But I just saw something that my friend is getting faster and still taking over me. Because in Liberia, there were 3 men that raped another 15-year-old boy. Now, I hear it, and I just want to ask question. Is that true? You're talking about 7 men raped somebody again?
Yep. Just right. Yep, just right in Brove. In fact, it is a journalist who support the Unity Party. He reported it just this morning. Yeah.
I just want to say the Liberia, the love of God is born. That whole country, we should suffer because that particular thing there, that particular thing, everything equal, everything, but that thing, I hate that thing so much on them. It is for Sarah and Gomorrah. That particular thing the people doing, I just pray for Liberia. I just sorry. And the same amount for me and all born get that people so forth. What kind of investment is this law?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so very kindly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's go to the line as we take the last comment from our brother. He stay on the line, our brother Elton. So, uh, oh, I'm sorry. There is a number here that was calling. Let me go back to that number quickly and then be able to. Okay, fine. He's calling. Okay. So, Elton, I think you're listening to. Yeah, you are very audible. Just take the last 30 seconds so we can get to another
Certainly.
call and then call it a day.
I hope, you can hear me. I used to be a practicing journalist on radio and TV in Liberia, so I know the background. So just for clarity's sake, I know Zopano is more independent, and you are right. He used to lean on the side of the UP people, and at one point he went to CDC, and today UP is in power. He's back with he's aligned himself again with UP. But my question came from the backdrop of a lot of people in Liberia, they lack objectivity. That's why when I asked based on objectivity. Did you critique him when he was aligned with your party, or you just critique him when he's sharing the thoughts and the views of the United Party today? That was the backdrop. But my question was to
Ethan, 1 second. Right now, I'm not critiquing him.
I will
No,
give you an example.
right now, I'm not critiquing
when
him.
you make utterances, whether
I'm not.
it's for UP or for CDC, because you flip flops between. I'm just giving premise on people not being objective. That's all I'm doing. So yes, my final thought. When you spoke at one point, you talked about the rule of law. Liberian leaders, they have the tendency of disrespecting. I like that premise you laid about the great was Sayinga, I believe. The same thing with Lumumba. He says African leaders, they preference title over service, and most African leaders are very corrupt in their mindset. That's why they don't respect the rule of law. You saw when CDC were in power, what they did with Justice Janet to remove him from the bench. Today, UP is in power, they are abusing the law. They remove Fonati Kofa illegitimately. If you ask me, so I tend to side with the Liberian people and the reality and being objective versus taking side with a political institution. Like I tell people, let me conclude on this 1 second. People who tend to side with political parties lack objectivity most times, and it's proven because they all want to side with the party views. Thank you. I appreciate it, Sherry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Honorable Doga, I think you heard from the brother, the caller. Let's hear from you. There is a call here that we're supposed
Take the
to.
call. Take the call.
I
Then
don't
I'll
know.
conclude. Take the call.
Yeah. So, Wills, you can definitely call back. I don't know, Wills, but Wills, you can call back. Wills, if you are listening, you can call back. Your Sonny just dropped. I mean, the line just dropped just now, but
So
you
let me
can
say
call
this
back.
to my dear brother Eton. I am not critiquing Zone now. I didn't critique him during the CDC time. I'm not critiquing him now. I withdrew my support for him. Not because he's against the CDC right now, but because as a Grenadian, I believe Zoe told me that they were sending us to school as a future leader. 20 years later, when at my age I got 2 masters, 2 children, a lot of responsibility, and you stay a lawmaker and you haven't made a single law, then where is the future? Based on these reasons, based on the fact that Zoe has not drafted a single bill, instead, all of the bad concessions ranging from whether Edenito, APM Terminal, Terminal Union, Buchanan Renewable, all of these bad deals, his signatures are there. He has boasted that he's rich. His children in Minnesota, in Paris, his son on PhD economy. According to him, he buys baby tops and kills cow for people. I believe at my level of understanding, these are not the of a lawmaker. As a senator in my mind, who leads the House Committee in the Senate Committee on autonomous agency and state-owned enterprises, I want you to critique these people so that they will give back to the national budget. No evidence that Zoe has done that. All you see is a lot of gray hair up on himself, got a transparent car, drive around bluff, and to him, life is better. Because of this reason, I have withdrawn my support for him, and the support is based on the fact that I'm a Grenadian, and I think Grenada needs a better representation in lawmakers who will see lawmaking as a priority and not a mass killing of cow and buying of baby tops. Those were the reasons why I withdrew my support from Zoe. I am not critiquing him right now. I'm withdrawing my support because he has lost my confidence, because he has failed as a lawmaker for over 20 years. I believe giving him 32 years is a miscarriage of judgment. He doesn't deserve it. He's not a lawmaking material. I've apologized, Ayrton, to the people of Grenada for being misled. Me too, I'm a victim of Zoe's manipulation, deception, and legislative dishonesty. He has failed in terms of his legislative output in a circumference and quadrant of lawmaking, oversight, and representation. So I just conclude on this by saying the rule of law, our government has failed. Waka, he has opened a raping leak from all indication, the raping league, it has more attention now than the county mean. So I think that why you see more people raping, because they believe the raping league podcast has opened. It got more attention, it got more attraction, it got more impunity, and perhaps more reward than the county mean. That's why you saw the county mean, even though it was okay this year, but the raping league is increasing in our country. Children are out of school, it doesn't concern Boyka. You saw a 12-year-old pleading for wire fees. When Joshua was doing that, he thought that policy was a stupid policy. Today, you see the effect of that. You see what it means to take that benefit from the people. So, in a nutshell, my brother, we are back on the show, and we are back, to put the regime on trial. We engage them with our bare hands, and in the end, the Liberian people will make the best choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So before you leave, fellow Liberian, this will be actually talked on hopefully next week, our next edition of the Redemption Hour. But I just want to play you a teaser right here for you to hear this.
Lost her life. We saw people sitting on Spoon Network telling the Liberians people that they get substantial evidence. They got recording, they got messages to prove that Jefferson Tamakochi was the one who sent Valley today to go and get rid of Global Musu Squad. Unfortunate, this poor girl lost her life. Shadow Musu lost her life. And today, the same people there who were fighting their case, they are in power today. One of these people who sat on Spoon Network and talk nonsense with confidence. I talk to some of these people personally behind the scene. They make me believe that they get evidence that Jefferson Kochi was the one who sent Valley to get rid of Musu Scott. And today, the rescue government is in power. These people are no longer talking about coming to prove anything against Jefferson Kochi or against Valley. We witness or exceed a year in this country while somebody went and kidnapped with their boyfriend and lied and said they were raped, which is Justina Taylor. Let me say today openly, Valley, you my dingo brother. To err is human, to forgive is divine. I want to openly apologize to you today on my platform for accusing you falsely. You have nothing to do with what happened at Global Musu Scott compound. The people who get evidence against you, let them come and prove it.
On this note, fellow Liberians, I want to say again to Honorable Dogayu, thank you so much for your presence. I know how busy you are. To even use an hour or 2 hours of your time to be here is something that we don't take lightly. We really appreciate. And to also Honorable Abubakar Ba, we want to say we thank you so much, our brother Chokon, and all of our people, who continue to support and to follow us. We actually appreciate you. We will be on here again on Wednesday for another segment of the Redemption Hour. So until we meet again, we want to say bye from our end and have yourself a God bless day. Bye, Honorable Dogayu.
We want to encourage those who want to remain corrupt and steal money, that I beg them. The money should be used to bless our people. Thank you and God bless.